Welcome everyone to INACSL 23. This is our 20th year. My name's Teresa Gore, and I am a past president of INACSL and a content manager for HealthySimulation.com. And I get to welcome Laura Gonzalez, our current president, this evening as we discuss the history and where INACSL is and where we're going as we're imagining and envisioning the future. So, Laura, if you'll please talk to us about, what's going on. It's been 20 years.
I know, I can't believe it's been 20 years. As we sat up here just a couple of minutes ago reflecting on our involvement with INACSL and how, 12, 13 years ago, we became fast friends in simulation. And it was so disoriented and disorganized, and we were just trying to figure it out. Do you remember? And she asked me, "Will you be my director of education?" We didn't even know what that was back then. And I was like, "Sure, whatever." And we just kind of morphed, and one thing led to another, and we grew it, and we had these amazing people that we were working with. As she pointed out, we were standing on the shoulders of giants, let's be honest.
Yes.
I mean, it was something else. And as I reflect in 20 years, I've seen such maturation, such growth. We have become, in my opinion, and I tell everyone I get a chance to speak to, we are the premier nursing organization for simulation and nursing education. So I think we've seen some changes.
We have. I mean, the programs that we've started, it has been amazing. Since I started, we had the very first standards of best practice, and that was amazing. We started the work in 2009 and have had multiple, to separate these a little bit, had multiple revisions. And so we've had a lot of different programs come in the last couple of years. So do you want to talk to us about ISEP?
Absolutely. Since we last spoke, we've obviously had several revisions of our standards, and I think the biggest change, as many of you know, is that we changed it to the healthcare standards simulation of best practice. And that was a very strategic and intentional act. We wanted to be more inclusive. We recognize that the standards are a living, breathing document. They are aspirational, but they are also for everybody. We know that when you pick up the standards, it's not about nursing simulation per se. It is about physical therapy simulation, occupational therapy, respiratory therapy. So by making that name change, which people said, "Wow, that's a big deal," it really was very strategic because we really want people to pick up those standards and say, this is best practice.
Yes.
As you know. And because of that, and because we feel so strongly about that, Susie Carden-Egrin, who's our past president, she had an idea, and she's like, what? We really should be applauding and recognizing quality simulation. And that's where the whole endorsement was, conceived. I started thinking about it, what did that look like? And that was one of the first things that she assigned to me as incoming. And we had the most amazing people, as you know, as you are very well familiar with the endorsement, just coming together, and these really impressive thinkers. And mind you, these were individuals that were involved on the standards, so they knew this content inside and out. They have lived and breathed it. They were in the literature. So it just made sense that we could identify the initial, what we originally referred to as the core four, but we're moving away from that because we'd like to think that all of the standards are equally important. And so we started the work developing the criterion, as you know, for endorsement.
So, but even before that, we had ISEP to, as we were looking at the standards, we needed a way to make sure that people were educated and using the best practices to become our simulation leaders. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about the ISEP program?
As I reflect on ISEP, you cannot not think about our original. We always knew that we are a center for excellence, and we wanted to be able to produce excellent simulationists. So as you remember, we had a fellowship.
Right.
And that fellowship, and I look around and I've seen some of the inaugural members of the fellowship, we were really doing amazing work. we were able to get together, we were able to really share best practices. We grew a lot of simulationists, and it makes me so excited and happy to know that they are still doing simulation, and they have really moved up the ranks. They're members of, obviously, of INACSL, but they're on the board, they're committee members, and they're doing amazing things. So when we recognized this fellowship, there were some changes, and we realized, well, maybe we make this in an online format. We can meet and reach more people. And so that began the evolution, I should say, of converting the fellowship into a online product that would be, if you will, self-paced. But the nice thing about our ISA program is there are facilitators that are still working with the learners, which I think is really valuable. You need that. There's about only so much you can do in an online format, but we really needed that one-on-one, that individual. And so that is really where we began ISEP. It's the INACSL Simulation Education Program that we have done a lot of work on, and we're really proud of that product.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. If you haven't heard, there were a lot of on-site registrations, and we are over 1,000 attendees now. And so, yes, give yourself applause here. And then the membership is over 2,200. That is
Think about
just
that.
the growth that we've seen. I can remember 800 being
We were so
membership.
excited it was
Yeah.
800, but do you know what is even more spectacular, Teresa? We have 620 new members that have come to this conference.
Yes.
First time attendees. Do you know what that says? To me, that says, first of all, what it tells me is we're getting old.
Yeah,
I'm not putting you in there, but
the organization's
the
getting old.
organization's
We're staying
getting
the
old.
same.
But there are new people coming to simulation daily.
Yes.
There are new educators coming into simulation saying, where do we go? What is this about? And I'm so fortunate and I'm so excited that they're being forwarded and funneled to INACSL. When I see the first time attendee badge, I'm like, I'm so excited because what I know, and I'm sure my colleagues and simulationists know, every day someone comes into simulation and they have to start somewhere. So isn't it great that they're starting here at INACSL with us? So for that, I'm so thankful that we have all of these first-time attendees. And if you make it an amazing experience the first time,
You're coming back.
you're coming back. So I'm thrilled for that.
And the thing that anybody out there that's going to listen to this, we want you to know that do not start recreating the wheel. We have too many resources for you. There's the repository of the instruments, and we like to share. We do. We are a very giving organization and want to share our experience with others so that they have all of this valuable information. To let you know, there are over 70 vendors here. And I mean, so go, and we want you to get the knowledge. We want you to have that.
One of the things that resonated when I saw these new new attendees, if you will, and they came up to me and said, this is an amazing conference. And I went to a session, and after the session, I spoke with the author, and she said, you could email me. I'll send you the information. She was, I've never heard that before. I was like, you mean I can email you and you'll share? That's the kind of inclusive belongingness that we are trying to foster here at INACSL. We've worked really hard at that. We want everybody to feel like they're in their community. This is their community of practice. These are people that they can resonate with and they can share best practice. And just share. We know the teams of one. We know there's so many teams of one out there, and they really don't need to feel alone, because when you're together, you're no longer a team of one. We have mass, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting.
And I always refer to it when I love coming here is I'm in my tribe. I do not have to explain to anybody here what I do. I don't have to
That's
convince
true.
you that simulation works.
Yep.
Because we already believe, and that's the best part of this.
Yeah.
So where do you see INACSL going in the future?
That's wonderful. That's a great question. So, we've worked really hard on our strategic plan, and two of the really important goals is developing our our international relationships. The last 2 years, post-pandemic, last year in Milwaukee was our first live conference after the pandemic, and it was a great turnout. We had about 800 individuals who attended, far more than we anticipated. And then we have this year. So I think the last 2 years, we've really been resetting ourselves. And I think many organizations really had to reset. We had to be mindful of our financial stability. We have to be good stewards of the funds that we do have. So I think these last 2 years we've taken that time to really get to see where are we. And so now that we're feeling comfortable and we are very healthy, I'm so excited to report by our membership and our resources and our offerings. So now we can actually step back and say, okay, let's really tackle our strategic goals. And the first one is our international presence. And so it works both ways. We want to be more evident and present in the international community, and we will also want our international community and our colleagues to also, become members so we can support them. So that's the first thing. Endorsement is huge. We really feel that endorsement is a hallmark, if you will, of excellent simulation. And we'd love everybody to consider, applying for endorsement. And so one thing we would like to do is be able to mentor others, provide that consultation so that other countries or other programs thinking about it can say, I get this, I understand, this resonates, I can do this. So we also want to be able to help others get endorsement. And then, of course, we always want to be looking for expanding our research dollars. When we come here and we see all these doctoral students that are doing this amazing work, and those posters, if you haven't seen them, I'm always inspired. Really, that's the way we can grow the science.
Yes.
So be able to look for additional sponsorship to really grow our funds so that we in turn can give them to those researchers. And they could be early career researchers. We know it just takes one small pilot study to create an amazing study. So that's one of our huge initiatives as we look forward.
And will you talk to us about and give us a quick what we're going to close with for INACSL 23, our panel discussion?
This is
Okay.
fantastic. So it's interesting. We have our 20th anniversary.
Yes.
And so we felt it just made sense to have a 10-year look back. So the panel on Saturday, we're going to have some of our esteemed colleagues and our dear friends of INACSL coming back to talk about where we are 10 years after the National Council State Board of Nursing simulation study. And anybody who's in nursing education, a simulationist, knows that was a landmark study. The Hayden study, may she rest in peace, changed the face of how we envision simulation. So we're going to listen to our colleagues, and they're going to talk about what have we seen, how have we evolved, where are we 10 years post the NCSBN study. That's going to be huge.
So I want us to kind of bring this all together. We are very approachable. All the board members of INACSL, all of our members, we're here to help grow simulation and grow our simulation community. But we would not be here without Deborah Spunt and Terry Basie, the founding co-presidents of INACSL.
The lab nurses, right?
Yeah, they were called the lab nurses, and this was the Simulation Lab conference, and we have grown so much. So
Look where we are.
yeah, I want to thank all of you for attending today. Stay
Thank you.
tuned. We have other presentations. We're going to be talking about the endorsement program. Then we're going to talk about ICEP, and followed by some of the committees so that we can let you know what's happening. So thank you all.
Once a sim sister, always a sim sister. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful conference, and I hope to talk to all of you.